So funny. My wife does the same.
Oh yeah?
Amazing that that's even a thing.
Oh yeah, right? I have it in all my, I have another laptop at home.
No, it's not locked. But turn the handle over. Tell her to turn the handle, right? I can have this one.
Really? All right, do you have it all set?
I think so.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Today we have our last speaker for the guest lecture series, and this is Mario, and he will talk to you today about the gaming industry.
Hi guys, how are you? Yeah, I'm sorry to be here to talk about that boring topic that is called video games. Thank you for having me again. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for this. I have a presentation, but we don't have a lot of time, so I will navigate into the presentation to talk to you not only about what I do, but also what I see that is actually a very cool opportunity for you in terms of career building and for you to consider the game industry as a potential path of future. So Altered Ventures is the name of a company that I started in 2016 after 20 years of working in the video game industry. I was working in Electronic Arts here in the Redwood Shores office. They have their headquarters there. Many of you have heard about the EA because good things or bad things, whatever, but Madden and esports, etc. I left EA in 2016. I was leading the Latin America office. I'm originally from Mexico, and I was in Mexico City until 2010, leading the Latin America office or the Latin America operations of Electronic Arts. And they invited me to come here and live here with my family, etc. And I stayed in EA as director of business development for emerging markets for 6 years. And then I left. And the reason why I left was to create this, which is a venture capital fund. Who knows what a venture capital fund is? So a venture capital fund is a company that helps other companies or startups or entrepreneurs and pretty much give them money from other investors or from their own to build that company. For example, a lot of VCs that are right now in Sand Hill Row, in Menlo Park, obviously they're pretty big. They have funded companies like Amazon, like Apple, of course, and the last bunch of big companies like Uber, Facebook, etc., Twitter, etc. So we are a venture capital fund, but we are, number one, much more smaller, right? And number two, we do not invest in companies. We are not investing in companies. We are investing in games, which is pretty similar to how the Hollywood industry works, because what a movie gets money is from producers that are actually investing not in the companies behind those movies, but in the movie itself. So Altered Ventures is a venture capital fund that works in games. I have a lot of slides, but again, I will navigate very quickly about some of them. I was in this event a few years ago, like 2 years ago, and then suddenly they told me that I was in the stream. I started to receive messages and say, hey dude, you are in the live stream, sit down, right? And I was obviously not aware that I was in the stream, and then obviously from my friends I started to receive some memes and some obviously jokes, and my favorite is this, because I was looking for a friend, and this is the live stream, and millions of people saw that stream, and I was looking for my friend, and obviously John Travolta was there with me. But the reason I'm showing that is because I was there as an investor taking over an opportunity that Google has identified as the independent game developer opportunity. What is the independent game developer opportunity? A lot of places, not only in US and Europe, but in Asia and Latin America, are showing that there's something big coming for the game developers that are small and in places that are not the usual places where games are coming from. And pretty much what I want to talk to you about is that actually this is the best time to become a game developer. It doesn't matter if you are, someone that likes literature or music or narrative or programming or design, whatever you like, whatever you do, the gaming industry is becoming a pretty interesting place to consider building a career. And that's actually the objective and the goal of this little kind of speech. I'm going to skip this and skip this. Maybe you have heard about the expression the next billion. Who have heard about the expression the next billion? No? One. Okay, pretty simple. The next billion is the expression that many people, especially here in Silicon Valley, are talking about to say the next billion people that are kind of the future internet users are not in San Francisco, they are not in New York, they are not in London, they are in places like Mexico City, where I am from, or they are in places like Sao Paulo in Brazil, or in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, etc., etc. So the hype around the new bunch of consumers coming from other places is actually pretty big. I'm going to speak all this. But one of the things that is actually missing from the next billion users is that the next billion users that are either or already using internet are not only users. The next billion of people that are going to become the next game developers are actually right here in this room or in many other rooms throughout the world, right? I'm going to skip this, but my point is the global growth not only of the video game industry, but the entire entertainment and technology industry will offer you opportunities because of two little words that maybe you have heard, VR and AR. I have a video that hopefully will work here. And a lot of people is kind of excited about what is happening in other parts of the world, and many people are kind of saying that Latin America and Europe, this is Ukraine, it's actually becoming the next Silicon Valley. But the truth is, a lot of people in the world would kill to be here, right? Because they think that Silicon Valley is the place where all the changes happen. And it's true, obviously, there's a lot of proof of that, but the truth is, there's a revolution coming. And this is actually the thing that I want to show you about. This is. How many of you have heard about Unity? Many of you, okay. Unity is the name of one tool, one of the two biggest tools that are created to build video games, right? It's like the Photoshop of the video game industry. You download Unity and you can start working with Unity to build a game for you or to put it on a store. There's another tool called Unreal. How many of you have heard about Unreal? Okay, that's another tool. 10 years ago or 7 years ago, to download a good license for your computer from those tools would cost you thousands of dollars. And right now, those tools are completely free. And the growth of the developers that are using Unity to build games is growing and growing and growing in US, in Europe, and in Latin America and other parts of the world. But not only that, the democratization of building, what does that mean by democratization? Is cheaper in terms of money and faster in terms of time. So it's a good time to build games, but it's also a good time to distribute games. Because 5 years ago, the digital distribution of a game was this in comparison to what it is now. That means that if you build a small team, I'm not saying right now, but let's say that in 3 years or in 5 years, you get with 5 friends and you build a game, you download Unity for free and you build a great prototype and you call me or whatever, or you get from your uncle $50,000 or whatever, you are going to be in a position to launch a game worldwide with a micro part of the cost as 5 years in the past. So the opportunity to be an entrepreneur in the video game industry is really big. And the second reason, just to end, is because of this other revolution that is coming. How many of you know, because obviously nobody was here in the world by then, but in the early 80s, there was one revolution that was actually here as well. What was that revolution that was kind of in the world in the early 80s? The PC revolution, right? The personal computer revolution in the early 80s was something that was shaking the world in the early 80s because of Apple, because of IBM, etc., etc. And the PC revolution was actually a great time to build companies, and the reason why not only Apple and IBM, but HP, Compaq, and many other big companies that started as a startup and as a small company came into life was because of that revolution. What was next in the mid-90s? What other revolution happened after the PC revolution in the mid-90s? The internet revolution, right? In 1995, obviously until the dot-com crash, but the internet didn't go anywhere. The internet revolution was built on top of the PC revolution, right? And that revolution obviously built another family of companies, from Facebook in the beginning and at the end, to obviously a lot of other companies like Google, Yahoo, and many others that I can tell you about, Amazon, etc., right? The other revolution that came at the beginning or middle of the 2000s was what? The internet revolution was actually the field where the idea that surprisingly was also because of Steve Jobs and Apple, specifically because of the launch of the iPhone, but the other revolution was bring the internet out of your PC at home or at work and bring the internet into your pocket, right? And the ability for being always connected was a revolution that built Uber, Pinterest, Airbnb, you name it. I mean, a lot of other companies, right? In the 2007, 2008, 2009 revolution. So my point is that another revolution is coming that many people are very skeptical about because they don't see a lot of people wearing headsets in the streets, obviously. The same way they were laughing on the big telephones that were the beginning of the mobile revolution, right? We are seeing small signs of what is next. But as I was telling in the other room, we cannot imagine that maybe this is the next iPhone, right? Maybe this is the next iPhone, and I can interact with this the same way that I interact with my iPhone. Well, guess what? That revolution that is going to be built on top of the mobile revolution is going to be an opportunity for you, right? And not only for you, but, and this is where many teachers get a little bit shocked, this is a huge opportunity for gamers. People who play games are going to be more ready than people who don't play games to grasp this revolution of augmented reality and virtual reality. So there's a lot of studies, scientific and academic studies that are proven kind of, they're showing with numbers, with the studies that playing games has much more good things than bad things. That is not the object of this talk. But the object of this talk is that I believe that people like you, at the age that you are, have the best positioning ever to, in 5, 10 years, if you ask me when this is going to become a reality, I don't know. I was laughing at big phones in 1995, and by 2007 I bought my first iPhone. So 10 years from now, things in the world could be pretty different. And I'm not only talking about video games, I'm talking about if you like science, if you like history, if you like literature, if you like medicine or education, whatever you want and whatever you like, this revolution is going to be the same as the PC, the internet, the mobile revolution. You don't only play games here, right? You don't only go to Instagram and Facebook. You work with this thing in many industries. So it's going to be the same. And you have a really, really good opportunity to take over this opportunity. I'm going to skip all this because it's about what I did, etc., etc. But I want to show you a theory that I have on this. How many of you are familiar with the stock market and kind of like the market that of finance? It's pretty cool. To those who are interested, take a look. But no, I don't want to overcomplex things here. This is the story of the history story of the stock market over the years from 1870 to now, right? As you can see, you can take a look to the internet revolution and then the dot-com crash and then what happened in 2007. Do you remember? You were already here, 2007, 2008, the big crisis. The economy went down, not only here in the US, but all over the place. Went down all the way to 2009, and then everything started. And right now we're kind of like here. You don't need to be a PhD in economics to guess what is next. Right? Guess what? What is next obviously is something that is going to be on the downside, but it's actually a good thing, because if you take a look to the history, what happened in 2000, the PC and internet revolution was ready, and 3 years later, at the bottom of the market, Facebook was created. At the end of 2003, the beginning of 2004, Facebook kind of, I don't know if it was a conscious thing or not. Maybe you remember Friendster and MySpace and High Five and many other efforts that were similar to Facebook. But the thing is, things were ready for a Facebook to happen. Because, let me ask you something, maybe you were very little, but in the 2000s, because of this drop, your parents kind of said, okay, pets.com went out of business. I will not connect to the internet again in my life. No, right? I mean, people still connected to the internet regardless of this. So the moment of a Facebook being created at the end of 2003 was the best moment. The same thing happened when all the market went down in 2008 because of this. In June 2007, iPhone was presented to the world, and by 2008, 2009, at the bottom of the market, those little companies started to receive a small check from a VC like me, and right now they are huge companies, right? Because the market was in the best place to help them, and people were already connected to the internet with a mobile device. The same thing is going to happen now that things are going to become maybe a little bit ugly. Never waste a crisis, because the market will go down. Maybe you see, I mean, I don't care, I will still have obviously food in my table and everything is going to be fine. Yeah, but the opportunity is going to be big, because the VR and AR revolution that already begun are going to be kind of hunting for talent and hunting for things cool enough to change the world. That's something that I want to close all this to say and to remember that. Obviously you don't remember that. That's an Atari 2600, sorry. But a lot of people don't remember that that happened before that. the video game revolution, the video game console came to the homes before the PC revolution. The video game industry, it's always pointing to what is next. So, let me just show you. This is what I was telling you about. And this is not something that I'm telling, this is something that is out there. This is the PC revolution and the companies that created, the internet revolution and the companies that were created, the mobile revolution and the companies that were created. This is what is next. And this is where you, not me because I'm going to be an old man, you have the biggest opportunity there. So you need to start considering not only the video game industry as an industry for building your future, whatever you like, doesn't matter if it's a programming or a storytelling career. Consider the video game industry as a potential path of building your career. But more importantly, don't go automatically with that mandate of games are bad. Because those who play games and those who understand the game interface are going to be in a much, much better place to take over that next revolution. That's pretty much all I have. Thank you so much. This is a final joke that I did there, but I'm sure you're familiar with that GIF. Thank you. Questions?